Hello everybody. Spring is finally starting to show itself, which means so are the bears. It just so happens that April is Bear Awareness Month. We were very fortunate to have a special guest come speak with us about bear safety and awareness from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. We're going to be covering topics like bear encounters, equipment you can carry with you to protect yourself from bears, bear awareness and safety for residents and their homes, and when to call professionals like law enforcement and what you can expect from them. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest, Cory, from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. And welcome to Alaska Lifestyle.
My name is Cory. I'm born and raised here in Peters Creek, Alaska. Hunting, fishing, camping, being outdoors is a large part of my upbringing and something that I use in my passion to further my professional development as a wildlife biologist for the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. For the last 8 years, I've been here in Anchorage as the management biologist and now as the area biologist for Unit 14C, which encompasses Anchorage and the municipality of Anchorage, which represents about 41% of the state's population.
In the fourth and final video, we're going to discuss when it's appropriate to call professionals like Alaska Department of Fish and Game or law enforcement and what you can expect from them.
Under what circumstances should someone call wildlife authorities or law enforcement when encountering a bear or wildlife in general?
So here in Anchorage, we're a little bit different, right? Because we have so many people, such a urban center, a lot of neighborhoods. So anytime that there's a brown bear sighting, we love to hear about it because we do track brown bears, especially when they're in close proximity to neighborhoods, houses, kids, schools. That way we can just kind of be aware of who's in the area and what they're doing. In terms of everything else, anytime a bear gets into trash, bird feeders, is injured, is acting oddly or aggressively, those are things that we want to hear about, and we highly encourage folks to reach out and let us know. I know a lot of folks post to social media and various pages. We don't get to see all of those, especially on controlled state computers. So folks got to reach out and let us know. They can report online through the Fish and Game website. They can pick up the phone and give us a shout at the nearest Fish and Game office. We're pretty easy to get a hold of, and there's several means there to reach out and let us know.
When people see bears and stuff getting into like the attractants like we talked about in our previous video, those are things that you want them to call about. So you guys know, hey, there's a bear here and they're getting into attractants.
Yeah, so anytime, you see a bear get into a trash can or a dumpster or something that's non-natural foodstuffs, we want folks to let us know. That way we can keep track as well and figure out what's going on, and if there's any education that we need to do or enforcement or anything like that to try to stop that and get that animal back onto natural forages and out of neighborhoods. And
then, so you said when people see brown bear in any sort of like urban environment, regardless what it's doing, like it could just be wandering through, you guys do want to know about that?
Yeah, so really it's just brown bear sightings. Even if it's just doing bear things, we want, especially in town and around houses, we want to know about that. Black bears, just doing bear things, we're not too concerned with, as long as they're just behaving themselves and eating natural forages, because people see them alongside the roadways. That's totally fine. We don't need to necessarily know about that. If folks want to call us with those sightings, we're not going to say no, and we do enjoy hearing about them. But really, the species we're concerned with just overall sightings is brown bears.
I'm actually just really kind of curious on that. Why specifically the brown bear? Is it just because they're like a more rare to see in urban areas? Are they more dangerous? Like why?
Yeah, brown bears, they're just a little bit more, protective of food sources and cubs. So, and one of those things that they'll protect is non-natural food sources. And so we try to stay ahead of them, and especially if they're in the area, we try to do a lot of education there to make sure that there's nothing there for that bear to get into. That way we kind of help try to prevent a public safety issue before it arises.
So when somebody calls, what information should be provided to authorities or like a dispatch center when reporting a bear encounter or sighting? Like what kind of things do you guys need to know ahead of time coming into the call?
As much detail as folks can give us, what's going on, where is it happening, Is this happened before? Is there any previous history at this spot?
Anything specific about the bear itself? I mean, we said injured or acting funny and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some examples of what acting funny would be.
So if someone calls in with a encounter, as much detail as they can give us, when the bear was last seen, is it still there? Is there anything unique about the bear that would help us identify it? That way we know when we show up, or if we show up, we know that we're looking at the same animal. Just kind of the backstory. Is there any back history there? Any other information that could help us? Then we'll kind of go from there based on the situation and what the case dictates.
All right, so what can individuals expect from professionals like Fish and Game or law enforcement when they do respond to the calls for the bear or other wildlife?
Yeah, I mean, just expect that there's going to be some more questions. We're going to ask, again, what was going on, just to try to figure out, is there something here that we can change or modify to prevent this from happening again? You know, what was the bear's behavior? Was it, what leg was it limping on? What was it interested in? Where have you been seeing it? Have there been any other sightings in the area? So and not every report or encounter requires a response to whatever was going on. You know, a bear just doing bear things, feeding on dandelions in a grassy field, that's a bear doing things we want it to do. You know, and then depending on the situation, we kind of go on a case-by-case basis on, you know, department response and, you know, do we need additional support from wildlife troopers or local law enforcement?
If it does merit a response from you guys and not something more simple, what are response times looking like, and how does that vary on what the call is?
Yeah, it really depends on the details in the scenario as to what's going on and also what is happening elsewhere in Anchorage. You know, if we're specifically talking about here in South Central, here in Anchorage, you know, we cover everything from Knick River Road down to Portage. So that's a lot of ground to cover, and at our max, we don't have the same number of individuals that, you know, maybe the wildlife troopers do or local law enforcement. Sometimes it may take us a while to get somewhere, or maybe it will just be a staff member. We may not be able to have multiple staff members go to a scene because we just don't have the personnel, but we do the best we can with what we got, and definitely try to prioritize those situations and those calls that indicate or may represent more of a public safety issue that needs to be dealt with.
What's expected of you when professionals arrive? Like me, the caller, what is expected of me when you arrive?
Homeowners are going to do what they feel like is necessary to protect themselves, and if that's having a firearm, you know, I'm totally fine with that. Typically when department staff show up, we ask that they go inside the house or put it away, and it's not to be mean or I know more than you kind of thing. This is more for their safety as well as staff safety, because then it's one less firearm that, you know, we have to keep track of in terms of if something happens for whatever reason. It's one less factor that we have to worry about.
If it's needed, you guys are armed, correct?
Correct. Outside of that, you know, they're more than welcome to watch from a safe location, you know, in the house, something like that. But, you know, I'm not going to make them go out and chase an animal around or something like that.
Typically, would you want them to stay in the area? Like, say if they're out and about or at a trailhead or something, would you want the caller to stay in the area to help when you arrive, provide more information? Or once the call's made, go about your day kind of thing?
Really depends on the scenario. If it's something that they don't feel safe in, then I would never ask them to stay in the area. You know, first and foremost, I want, you know, the person calling in to feel safe. And if that's not there, and maybe that's in the car, maybe they just need to leave the area, like that's totally fine. Try to get as much information and detail so we can go back to the same spot that they were at without having to bring folks back up, you know, because like I said, we don't want to increase or add to the risk or public safety. We're there to try to de-escalate the situation and get it back to normal.
Right. Make sure everybody's safe and everybody's good, not in any harm or in harm's way. Yeah. Would someone incur fines, or would someone be charged for calling Fish and Game for an unnecessary reason? And it sounds like no, based off of previous answers, like just knowing where bears are is kind of your thing. But is there any kind of fines or things that callers would need to be aware about when calling?
No, and because most of what we deal with aren't immediate emergencies. So, we're just looking to we're happy to take those reports. There's nothing there that they're going to be fined or charged for calling too many times. And in this day and age, we enjoy getting those reports, especially directly to the department, so that, we can document them, but also respond as necessary.
So knowledge is power, and it's encouraged.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Hopefully that helps if anybody had I don't want to call, I don't want to have to worry about getting charged or a fine or something like that if it wasn't important enough or it wasn't like an emergency. So I think that's a good thing that it's encouraged to call. Information's power, and the more that you have as a department, the more that you can do with it, and the more that you can help. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're not sure, it never hurts to pick up the phone and give us a call.
And that information is readily available online, I'm sure.
Yep. On the Fish and Game website and in the hunting regulation booklet, there are a list of all the area office phone numbers. On the website, there's also a general Fish and Game email that folks can email. And then additionally, there's a specific reporter on the website that you click that, and it brings you right to a report form, and that automatically gets sent out.
Talk to someone, just go online and you can fill out a form. Oh, perfect. That's super easy.
The biggest sum up there is we talked specifically about bears, but wildlife in general, those same kind of topics or situations would warrant a call. Injured, acting oddly, acting aggressive, getting into human-provided attractants, animals stuck or have objects attached to them. We've had bears get cheeseball buckets stuck on their heads, that kind of stuff where animals need help. That's the other side of this, is we're also here to help these animals, because there's a lot of stuff that they can get into and ingest, and we're there as well to help get those things off of them so that they can live normal lives.
We'd like to thank you, Cory, for taking the time to be here with us. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your experience with our audience and us.
I really do appreciate you coming out and talking to us. It's super awesome to have you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys being interested in having me out to help educate folks and, get the word out about being bear aware and hopefully staying safe in bear country. And, Alaska's a great place to recreate. There's a lot of woods, a lot of trails, a lot of cool animals to encounter, and this is just a way to keep folks safe and give them that knowledge and that power to if and when they encounter these situations, that it's just a sighting and both species go on their way, humans and bears.
We appreciate you taking the time to watch our video today, and we hope you learned something that'll help keep you and the bears safer while enjoying the outdoors. Please check out the links below in the description for quick access to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game and the Alaska State Wildlife Troopers websites for additional information.